Sometimes I do wonder, Mummy Lebeau has so many links to the underworld and lots of contacts and connections at her disposal. Why doesn't she make the money off them and use that to bring up her kids instead of doing her day job and beating the bad guys? I have no idea. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We shall give her a whirl. Now, I've been playing Sunny Lebeau a couple of times so far, and every single time I've got my butt handed to me on a silver platter because Nerf Hub just completely wrecks, or NBN for that matter, completely wrecks Sunny. Too slow to set up when all your breakers cost 15 credits in total to install and your console costs 8, you're not going to win against NBN. So I finally got myself a game versus HB, so hopefully I'll be able to show off some of Sunny's strong traits. Now today I'm featuring a deck based on Sahasrara, which is actually pretty incredible when I thought about it. Most Sunny decks use the Cloud Breakers, which are expensive, along with Multi-Threader, which is also pretty expensive to install. So it only makes sense, it only follows that Sahasrara will actually give you a lot of return in the long run. Couple that with Medium as a program that gives you your R&D pressure, and you have a pretty solid deck. Let's see how this works out in practice. Sahasrara is probably superior to modded, in my opinion, when you're installing so many programs, and this is, I think, one of the key distinctions I have. I've looked through Netrunner DB and I haven't seen a single Sunny deck that makes use of Sahasrara. So I think this has a lot of potential, and this is where I'm testing it right now. Alright, it's a pretty slow start for me. I don't have any card draw going just yet. Symmetrical Visage gives me gives me a bit of credit return for drawing, which is always nice, but that's about it, unfortunately. Yeah. In the meantime, he rushes out an ABT. Very smart on his part to rush agendas out while I'm still setting up. It is very possible that... No, I couldn't have contested him. What am I talking about? Look at my credit level right now. There's no way I can contest his remote server. So what I'm going to do is to slowly install my breakers. You can actually afford to install your breakers from your hand turn after turn with Sahasrara credits. That Shrike, the killer, cost me 3 credits to install, which is a nice discount. And soon I'll be looking to install the Striker, which is the Code Gate Breaker, for 2 credits. But first, I need to set up my money first, so I have a KD ticking up to 9 credits. And in the meantime, he double installs in the remote. I could go for it now, and that's exactly what I do. I need to start placing pressure on his servers by running. He reses a Turing, at which point I jack out. I could install the Striker here and go for the Turing. I do not like that idea because it seems to be an Adonis that I won't be able to trash because breaking through Turing with Striker takes 6 credits. For Strength 5 eyes are a huge problem for Striker, and I calculated wrongly, it's an ABT. Thankfully, he's not firing either of the ABTs, so I don't have to worry about him snowballing out of control. But now he's up 4-0. This is not good for me. And again, this is the weakness of Sunny. You are conceding the first 2 agendas more or less. And this proves to be a huge problem for Sunny Lebeau. Because now you're basically playing the rest of the game on pins and needles, shall I say. But thankfully it seems like he's not able to keep me out of R&D because he's only on 5 credits, so my medium is going to town on him. I've seen 3 cards, there are no agendas, but that's fine. I have a loaded medium ready to go, and he does reveal to me what sort of ice is on R&D, which is a toll booth, most likely. Looking at his credit level, it only makes sense that the inner ice is a toll booth. There's no other ice that costs that much to res. So here he finally reses a Turing that he newly installed last turn. Fine with me, I have a Striker, I'm going to strike his R&D next turn. Also notice that he was so desperate to in protecting R&D that he was willing to toss a Turing on the R&D. That's how desperate he was. So now I'm up to a very healthy credit level of 19. Thanks to unloading KT, I'm pretty rich. And yeah, the Underworld contact has been paying off pretty big. And now I found all 3 of my breakers. I run 3 of each breaker, so I can expect to see all of them in short order. And that's exactly what's happening right now. I do find a technical writer. This goes hand in hand with my mass installation of cards. With more programs and hardware on the board, I gain more credits from technical writer. Here I run his medium dig his R&D and I find a Cyberdex virus suite, which brings me back to square one. This is very annoying. Not much I can do about that. Yep, and I do steal an NAPD, which again sets me back pretty heavily. It cost me a lot of credits to use the striker to make it through R&D. 4 credits to be precise, because Turing Strength 2. Strength 2 and Strength 5 eyes are the most annoying for Sunny Lebeau's Breaker Suite, which is why you really need the Net Ready Eyes. I have 1 copy of it in my deck and I need to find it ASAP. The Net Ready Eyes will allow me to break Strength 2 and Strength 5 eyes with greater ease. The NAPD also stole my credits, which is not very good. So even though I have 12 credits now, I'm still not in the best position. Now from here on, I make a very crucial mistake. I neglect KT. Throughout the early game, KT has served me very well. She gave me almost 3 credits per click, which is insane efficiency. But from this point onward, I've been neglecting KT for card draw, for running his servers, and that is something that is going to be a problem for me. Because soon enough, I quickly realized I am actually not as rich as I thought I was. Even though I have 2 Underworld Context dripping, a Technical Writer going off, I am still not very rich. So here I install my last breaker with the Sahasrara credits, and he goes on. His Adonis is giving him a lot of money, which I can't really help. And it's at this point that I draw into my Security Nexus. The Nexus is pretty nice to have, but it is a luxury. Especially now that I have all my breakers out, there's not much reason to install the Nexus until he fires a toll booth on me. 8 to install is a hefty price to pay at this point, and I have nothing to make it cheaper. This is one of the downsides of running Sahasrara over modded. Alright, his Adonis is gone. I would expect that he's going to toss an agenda into the remote at this point if he has one. This is not going to be very pleasant for me. Although I do have 6 credits on KD Jones, I would much rather take this time to set up right now. I mean, looking from his side of the board, I suppose that it is he is actually not having the best of times. I think he wishes he is on match point right now, but he isn't. He's gonna have a very hard time getting the last few agendas out. I suspect that he might be looking to fast advance the final few agendas out, which makes sense because you don't expect Clot in Sunny, and when you see the Cyberdex Virus Suite, you have to assume that they're running fast advance. Now here I finally find Mr. Lee, and I love Mr. Lee as a form of deck filtering. Mr. Lee gets through your deck faster than any other resource right now. There's no other resource that allows you to click for 2 cards at a time in the game. Mr. Lee allows you to do that. It's a very old school card, but I think this is exactly the time to revive it. I'll explain more about Mr. Lee later, because now we are on pins and needles. My opponent's on match point. This is not looking good. Make things worse, my medium has been purged, so running R&D isn't really an option now. Yet running his remote is a terrible thing to do. If I fail this Capri side game, where am I going to go from there? The Turing is horribly expensive to break, so this is why I have the Net Ready Eyes out. It should help a lot with the Strength 2 and Strength 5 code gates that are flying around the board right now. So now I break the Enigma for 2 credits instead of 4 by boosting the Striker. And as I mentioned in the chat, I knew that I was in a lot of trouble because I knew I had a very good idea that he was running Biotic Label given the Cyberdex Virus Suite and given his agenda spread, which is a lot of 2-pointers. Don't be fooled by the caprice. A hybrid fast advanced HB deck is actually very strong, and you have to expect Biotic Label out of HB any day. So here I'm just drawing with Symmetrical Visage because I want money, because I want to see more cards. One very crucial card that I'm missing right now is Multi-Threader. Without Multi-Threader, I'm paying full price to run through all his servers, and this is very painful. R&D costs 4 credits to run with the Turing, plus 2 credits from the Security Nexus. That's 6 credits to make 1 R&D access. Terrible returns. I can't have that. That is absolutely atrocious. So I just see a toll booth and I see another Cyberdex Virus Suite which resets my medium once again. So I'm getting nowhere at all. I just can't get a foothold of this game. The truth is, even with the underworld context ticking, I do not have enough money to contest the high strength eyes of HB. I haven't been using KD Jones enough. You notice that I haven't used her ever after liberating the 6 credits off her. I've never touched her again. And she's just sitting on the board there waiting for her next job, but she's not getting any because I'm neglecting her. Never ever neglect your KD Jones. She brings in so much money. It is a huge mistake for me to completely ignore her. Yeah. What am I to do? Right now I need money and I need my multi-threaders. I'm getting neither of them. So here is where Mr. Lee conflicts with Symmetrical Visage. You can't use both at the same time. And I choose to use Visage over Mr. Lee because the extra 1 credit from the Visage is probably worth it over the seeing 1 extra card. So here I Dirty Laundry Archives for the quick buck and proceed to contest his Caprice Nisei. I know that what's inside the server is probably not an agenda. He would probably have fast advance an agenda if that were the case. I'm just here to trash the Caprice, which I successfully do. Since he did not rest outermost piece of ice, it made my life easier. I was able to trace through the Turing with Nexus. And Adonis, that gets trashed as well. And finally, I play the daily cast from hand. That's fine, but now I'm down to 0 cards in hand. I have no more options at my disposal. So here, he draws a card, plays a hedge fund, installs a new card in the remote. Do I go for it? I don't know. That could be an asset, it could be an agenda, I don't know. I'm just gonna draw with Mr. Lee, hoping to find a multi-threader. I don't see it. In chat, I said I have no idea what I'm looking for. I know full well what I'm looking for. A multi-threader. That would save me a lot of credits. Multi-threader would cost 1 credit to install because I have 1 Star Strider out. And from there on, it will repay me 2 credits every turn if I decide to run every single turn. I'm not getting that. So, yes, I'm finally deciding to use KT, but again, it's a little too late. Isn't it? Yeah, I'm just massively slowing down at this point. I think what I should have been doing was to keep my money cards in hand, the Dirty Laundry, Sure Gamble, Daily Cast, either play them all in one fell swoop, and make sure that I use KT every single turn, because now money is everything. With your breakers out as Sunny Lebeau, the only thing else that you're missing is money. And now that I finally have a bit of money, I'm going to run. So here, I'm actually overpaying for the Turing, because I forget that it is 2 strength, not 5 strength. I keep thinking it's a 5 strength code gate, which is the case, but not an R&D. So let's just imagine that the Turing was an IQ, you know. So we'll just leave it as that. It could very well be an IQ in a typical HB deck, and that would really cost me a lot of credits to get through. In the meantime, looks like I'm not the only one facing a problem as well. My opponent is having a lot of trouble finding his agendas. You bet he's looking for agendas. I know he is. He's looking for agendas fast advance. I'm sure of it. That's one problem about not running fast track, which Astrobiotics runs, but this deck doesn't. You really want to see your agendas when it counts, and this is when it counts. So because he's not able to keep me out, I'm going to run for R&D again with double medium out. I'm going to see 3 cards instead of 1, so that's always nice. But again, it's costing me a huge amount of credits to get through. And he reshuffles the Cyberdex Riot Suite into R&D, which is not nice to see. I do trash a Caprice Nisei, but I'm down to 5 credits once again. Here comes the security chip to save my life. Security chip with 3 link is incredibly important for this game. Up till now, I'm having so much trouble breaking Turing and Architect on R&D. With the extra strength from security chip, every ice basically costs 2 credits to break instead of 4, and that's a huge difference when you can slash your cost by 50%. I boost the Zuki Master here, and he resists the Toll Booth. No brainer, once you see Toll Booth, you activate Nexus. And of course, he doesn't really want to keep me out. Not with his credit level, so I successfully trace through. Then I pump all my breakers up with security chip. So now it will only cost 4 credits to get through R&D. So security chip there was basically a show gamble, in a sense. And I see 4 cards, I trash a lot of cards, and by the time I got to the last card, which was an NAPD, I only had 1 credit left. I couldn't afford to steal the NAPD. So this is bad news because I know he's gonna draw into the NAPD sooner or later. What am I to do? I'm facing so many money problems right now, and it all boils back down to not using KT enough early on. It's also possible that my resource suite is just awful. Mr. Lee and Symmetrical Visage don't go hand in hand. I really should be fixing that. That is a huge problem. We will review that in the game post-mortem. But in the meantime, he gets another new asset or agenda going in the remote. I don't know what to do at this point, except to just lock R&D. Again, during the last R&D access, I did hit a Cyberdex Virus Suite, and that cleared my medium counters. So if I'm to run R&D again, that's going to cost me a lot of money for just one R&D access. But I'm going to do it anyway, because that's my only route to victory. So here we go. Break the Turing for 4 credits. Break the Architect for 4 credits. Trace through Tollbooth for 2 credits. I spent 10 credits on the run and saw a Tollbooth. Sucks to be Sunny, huh? Well, what can I do? Turns out that he did draw the NAPD eventually, and it was in the remote. With Biotech Labor, he's able to score it for victory. Congratulations to my opponent, and he played pretty well. But I think there are some serious flaws in the Sunny deck that I need to address, and I'll do so now. So to review how the game went, I'm going to mainly use this tool from Aku that analyzes my Octagon games from the Octagon log. It's going to be very useful for this particular game. You notice the credit graph, I'm the runner, so I'm red in color. You notice in the early half of the game, this was a setup phase, I was having a very good time. Sahasrara allows me to set up nicely without taking too much of a tempo speed bump. And as a result of KD Jones, you see this huge burst here, I believe that was it. KD Jones burst me up to a very high credit level, and I was able to peak at around 20 credits toward going into the mid game. From there on, it was all downhill, because I had to start making runs, and the moment I start making runs, things become unprofitable for me, because firstly, I had no multi-traders for a huge portion of the game, and secondly, because his ice was so beefy. Also, I installed Security Nexus around this time, and this credit hit here is very significant. I used Security Nexus 4 times this entire game. So each time I needed to pump the trace by 2 to successfully use Security Nexus. Combined with the 8 install cost of the console, I spent 16 credits on Security Nexus to bypass 4 pieces of ice. I think on 2 occasions this was Tollbooth, and on 2 occasions this was Turing. So how many credits did that save me? It saved me roughly around 16 credits. Saves about 5 credits for each Tollbooth, because I am getting through Tollbooth for 2 credits instead of 7 credits. For Turing, it saves me about 2 credits, because I'm paying 2 credits instead of 4, which I would pay with Zuki Master or Striker. So yeah, you add 7 plus 7, that's 14. I spent 16 credits to install Security Nexus, and it gave me 14 credits of bypass value. That's not good. That is horrible! This is a huge downside, the very fact that Security Nexus costs 8 credits to install. It feels very nice, it feels so good when you bypass a Tollbooth for 2 credits. Yes, I agree with you. But when you look at it in the big picture, it isn't all that good. It would probably have been better in a longer game, but you cannot expect games to go on very long. If the game goes on very long, the corp is doing something wrong, and you deserve the victory anyway. So yes, unless you can mitigate, basically my point is, unless you can mitigate the downside of Security Nexus being so expensive to install, most games you're just better off not playing the Security Nexus at all. Maybe replacing it with Dyson Mem chip is even better. This was my first reaction when Security Nexus was first spoiled. That the fact that it costs 8 to install is a huge downside for an ID that already wants to just run the infection breakers. Yeah, Security Nexus just makes it even harder for you to win. For short to medium games that end relatively quickly, shall I say. Alright, what else can we notice about my deck? Let's look at the money cards and see how they pay out. The Underworld contacts, I installed 2 copies of them and they netted me 32 credits. So that's a net gain of 28 credits or 14 credits per Underworld contact. I'd say that is easily a wonderful card and certainly a 3-off in any Sunny Lebeau deck. This just proves it. The sheer power Underworld contacts is too much for you to not play it. Daily cast is very standard. It's 5 credits per click, so that's fine. Symmetrical Visage, I installed it on my first or second turn, I believe, and the game went on for about 21 turns, so I've been drawing every single turn, so I got 20 credits worth from Symmetrical Visage. It is a very powerful card because most of the time as Sunny Lebeau, you'll be drawing. You'll find yourself drawing for your multi-traders, drawing for your security chips, drawing for even more money. And having Visage to improve this draw by giving you extra credits on top of that makes it all the sweeter. This competes with Mr. Lee, as I mentioned in the video itself. I only used Mr. Lee 3 times the entire game. Not worth it at all. Mitigated by the fact that I installed it with Career Fair, so it's actually free to install. But still, Mr. Lee is pretty bad when you have Symmetrical Visage on the table already. So this is something I need to reconsider. If I'm playing Mr. Lee in my deck, I might not want to include Symmetrical Visage. Now, I still have both copies because you need 50 cards in your deck to make a legal Sunny deck. And there are not that many good neutral cards or Sunny cards out there. And also, because your deck is 50 card size, you only have 3 copies of Earthrise, and in my case, 2 copies of Mr. Lee in my deck. 5 draw cards in a deck of 50 is no go. That is way too little draw. So you still need the Symmetrical Visage there to improve your draw efficiency. But yes, when you get to the mid game, when both of these are on the table, it definitely isn't really worth it. It makes Mr. Lee much less worth it. Katie Jones was used 14 times. I believe she gave me about at least 20 credits worth of money. So Katie Jones is a solid money card as usual. You can't argue with that. Technical Writer. The one Technical Writer gave me 5 credits. You must remember that I did not find it in my opening hand. It came in the early mid game. So it netted the same number of credits as a single daily cast, except that it took longer to pay off. It's marginal. It's not that good, but it's still okay. It's not good. It's not downright horrible. It's not a dead card. It's okay. Net Ready Eyes was huge. Again, as I said, giving me a 2 credit discount on Strength 2 and Strength 5 code gates was a huge boon this entire game. Seeing that I've activated it 8 times, that would probably save me 16 credits for 2 influence. I think that's pretty decent for 2 influence. Speaking of 2 influence, Sahasrara cost 2 influence. It gave me 15 credits. Actually, this is a mistake. This is actually 13 credits. I installed 4 Cloud Breakers, 2 mediums, and 1 multi-threader with a single Sahasrara. So that's 13 credits that 13 recurring credits used, 2 credits to install, which means that a single Sahasrara gave me a net profit of 11 credits. It's pretty close to Net Ready Eyes 16 savings of 16 credits. These are very good influence splashes. Both of them cost 2 influence each and have the potential for huge payouts. Unlike Security Nexus, which does not pay out at all. So by analyzing the raw numbers this way, you can see which cards are pulling their weight. Sahasrara is very good, Net Ready Eyes is very good, and which cards are not pulling their weight at all. Mr. Lee was redundant. So with that, I'll probably modify my deck with this in mind. So thanks for watching, and thanks for sitting through all the mathematics. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. See you around.